Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jack Ullmann. I'm the chairman of the board of the American Technion Society. Several of us are here today at Anna and Abe Tulin's apartment in New York City. I'd like to introduce those who are sitting around here in Abe's living room. Mrs. Anna Tulin, Mr. Harry Fischbach, Abe Tulin, Justice Moshe Landau, freshly arrived from Israel, and Charles Scher. We're here because Abe is physically unable to be with us at his celebration at the Waldorf Astoria. As part of the honor we pay to Abe on his 90th birthday, we are presenting to him the first Albert Einstein Award of the American Technion Society. This is the highest honor we can bestow. It is in tribute to his remarkable accomplishments and is given with the utmost respect and affection. To make this presentation, we have the rare privilege to welcome to the United States Israel's Supreme Court Justice Moshe Landau, honorary chairman of the board of the Technion. Justice Landau has served for many years with great distinction on behalf of Technion.
Well, dear Abe, I'm very happy to be here on this great occasion, having arrived only last night from Israel. It is a very moving occasion, I believe, for both of us in many respects. In a personal way, I believe that according to age, you could be my father. But close friendship has drawn us together for many years now, and this friendship I treasure dearly. It is a great occasion, of course, for the Technion, and I bring you greetings from the Technion family, from the President Goldberg and his associates, from the faculty and from the students. It was only a few days ago that I walked up the slopes of Mount Carmel overlooking that great campus of Technion City and walked through the Tulin forest. You have had, and you are still having, a major share in what was built up at Technion. It was your farsightedness and your foresight which helped to raise the entire Technion to a new, higher level. I think you have reason on this day of, where you have attained this ripe age of 90, to look back on what you have already achieved with a great satisfaction. We consider you as outstanding amongst the founding fathers of the Technion, and I believe that is how future generations at this great institution will remember you. But I'm sure your work for the Technion is not yet over. You still have great things in mind, and we hope that you will go on from strength to strength, because you prove that the firmity of the spirit can overcome the infirmities of the body. I, on behalf of the Technion in Israel, and if I may, also on behalf of the Technion here in America, I wish you a long life yet with your dear life companion, Anna, whom we all love and who is no mean person in her own right, too. And now, as you have heard already, I have the great honor, which was allowed to me by the American Technion Society, but of course we Israelis join in this, to present to you this Albert Einstein Award, of which you are the first recipient. Well, as you see, it is beautifully done by a Haifa artist. His name is Horowitz. It says here, Ish Chayil V'Rav Pa'alim, which is a quotation from the Bible, from the Chronicles, which I think we retranslated. I think we improved on the King James Version.
Yes.
And we say here, a man of valor and great deeds, which is a correct translation of the Hebrew original, and I think it wonderfully applies to you. And also as the name of Albert Einstein, especially as you are connected with that great name, that great genius, with which you had a friendship lasting for many years. So there could be nothing more fitting, both by virtue of merit and by virtue of this friendship, than to start this great row, which we hope this a succession of holders of the Einstein Award by awarding this to Dr. Abraham Tulin. So, dear Abe, I say mazel tov to you, and I wish you health and happiness and great work for the Technion for many years yet to come.
Congratulations, Abe.
Thank you. Thank you.
You want me to shake hands?
Absolutely.
Abe? It's
You
a
always
pleasure
get
to be
into
with
the
you.
picture.
I wish you all that's
Absolutely.
good for you.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you.
Very darling.
Yes, dear.
Very, very good.
Mr. Chairman, Justice Landau, Harry Fischbach, Charlie Scher, and since I'm not going to be at the dinner on the 22nd, I'm now also addressing the distinguished guests and the dear friends of a lifetime who will honor me by attending that dinner. I apologize for my posture. I cannot stand on my feet. And that is one of the, or part of the price which at least I have to pay for having attained the age of 90. Actually, I'm a little more than 90 already. I'm 2 months less 4 days into my 91st year. I would be less than human if I were not overwhelmed by the encomiums which you, dear Justice Landau, have heaped upon me. I have been honored beyond measure already by not only by my friends of the American, my colleagues and friends of the American Technion Society, but by the authorities of the Technion in Haifa. I want to make it perfectly clear that whatever I may have achieved and accomplished for Israel And the last 30 years for the Technion has hardly ever been a solo performance. It's always, or nearly always, been in close cooperation with my colleagues on the board of the Technion here, of the Technion Society here, and so forth. There are one or two exceptions, the most notable of which, I suppose, is the what I was able to do with the Mr. Swope, but there too, if it hadn't been for Harry Fischbach's help in the last crisis of that famous event, I would have failed in that. Harry deserves the credit of wonderful cooperation. Now, mention has been made, of course, of Albert Einstein. And there I want to say a word of caution. It happens that I knew Albert Einstein very well from the moment of his first arrival in the United States in 1921 until practically his death. My friends, you cannot imagine how naive Dr. Einstein was at that time in 1921 as to all worldly affairs. His name had shot across the horizon of the Western world like a blazing meteor in 1919 and 1920. Einstein's name became front page stuff on all the newspapers. And all sorts of people tried to take advantage of him. And it was my duty to stand between and guard him against these people. In this way, we became very well acquainted. We kept up this friendship throughout the time that he was here and every time that he came here, until it was my great honor and privilege to open a convocation which we held at Princeton, New Jersey, in 1954, I think, at which the Technion at Haifa conferred an honorary doctorate in technology on Dr. Einstein. The Albert Einstein was more than the great scientist that he was. Albert Einstein was a great Jew. Albert Einstein was a great Zionist. Albert Einstein was a dedicated humanist. Albert Einstein stood for the noblest conceptions of life, of the relations of man to man. And it's this Albert Einstein that I take it the American Technion Society has selected by naming this greatest of its awards after him, and not merely Albert Einstein, the supreme scientist. Now, on the occasion of the award to him of the honorary doctorate of the Technion at Princeton, Albert Einstein made the following remarks, which I shall quote. Quote, "It is a pleasure for me to receive this sign of appreciation and kindness from the Technion in Haifa. For one thing, I myself started by studying 58 years ago at an institute of technology, though I hasten to add that little of the practical sense of the engineer has stuck. Secondly, I am glad that this kindness comes from an institution that is of paramount importance for the development of our young state, referring, of course, to the state of Israel. A small country with a poor soil and lacking essential raw materials can win the battle, the difficult battle for survival only by developing painstakingly the intelligence and expert knowledge of her young people in the field of technology in the widest sense of the word. I have seen with great satisfaction how well the Technion fulfills this important and pressing task. Every bit of practical help that the Jews in this country are giving to the Technion contributes effectively to the development of Israel's economy. I thank you sincerely." End of quote. Now, Einstein was a supporter of the Technion and of the American Technion Society from the day of its foundation, the day of the foundation of the society. He supported the Weizmann Institute as well. He supported the Hebrew University as well. He made a remarkable statement to representatives of these three institutions once when we called on him at Princeton. He said, "We need these institutions because they are the only institutions of higher learning to which I'm certain that Jews will be able to send their youth for higher education. I'm not certain of any other institutions of higher learning anywhere else." How can I thank you, Justice Landau, and you, my dear friend Jack Ullmann, and you, Harry Fischbach, and all of you here for your very great kindness to me. How can I thank all the wonderful people who will gather at the dinner at the Waldorf on Monday for the honor which they will then pay me by their presence. It is beyond my powers to do so adequately. I also am happy to say that some of my colleagues and co-workers in the American Technion Society of the early days are still with us. Thank God. Von Diller is still with us. Fischbach is still with us. Joe Wunsch is still with us. Colonel Elisher is still with us. And so forth and so on. Now, for many years, I realized, while working for the American Technion Society, that we oldsters had to go sooner or later. And I kept urging that younger men should be recruited and that we should step aside for them. We've done that to a very considerable extent. I am no longer a director. I accepted the empty title of senior something or another, which we took out of the air. That's good enough for me. And I don't know, Harry, are you a...
Trustee for life, you are.
Trustee for life, is that it? You too, Harry?
Yes.
All right.
I'm proud of it.
So Harry has done the same thing. But we owe it, I think, very largely to David Rose, who couldn't be with us today. He's in Israel. That he brought in a whole batch of able and promising young men. And I bank on them. We've got examples in Jack Ullmann here, who's the chairman of the board of the Technion now, and Larry Tisch, who is the president. And I don't know all the young men in the society, but I wish them success and bless them and all of you. Anything?